I thought you were such a hot man at gin rummy, Danny. What's the score?
You got me on a blitz in 2 games. Deal the cards, will you, George?
Sure. I get sore because you're losing, Danny.
Sore?
Yeah.
If I get sore, you better start running. Nobody ought to know that better than you.
Okay. So you got a temper.
I got a temper, a gun, and both of them get upset very easy. Remember that, kid.
Oh, now, look, Danny, what's the point in arguing? You're going to get sore, we'll tear up the score.
Well, that's one way of getting even. Georgie, I'm going to let you in on something good. I want you to listen to this recording.
Listen to a phonograph record now? Who needs it?
It's a little different kind of record, friend. Get this.
Get what? I don't hear nothing.
Wait a minute, will you? I'm supposed to be the impatient one around here.
It is very important for every person to decide that he will cooperate with the police in crime prevention. The complete cooperation of every member of the public is vital. Police officers are hard-working and resourceful, but they need...
Well, what'd you play that for? What's it supposed to be? My lesson for today on how to be a good citizen?
Georgie, that thing you just listened to was part of a radio broadcast made last night by Philo Vance, the private investigator.
Well, if I'd have known it was Vance, I would have applauded.
Shut up and listen.
Okay.
I had Vance's speech recorded off the air. You just heard a little bit of it. Remember what he sounded like?
Sure.
Well, then, how's this?
Georgie, I'm talking like Philo Vance. How does it sound to you?
Hey, Danny.
Good, huh?
Well, it was perfect. You imitated his voice well.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
And you know how close Philo Vance is to District Attorney Markham?
Well, they're buddies.
That's right. Now, when you and I pull our next job, all I got to do is make sure that Vance isn't with Markham. Then I call Markham in Vance's voice, and I tell him anything I like. Anything that'll keep him away from us.
Yeah, that sounds great, Danny. Only sooner or later, Markham's going to know it wasn't Vance he talked to.
Sure, but on this job I'm pulling tomorrow, I don't care whether Markham finds out sooner or later it wasn't Vance that steered him off. Because 10 minutes after I do the job, I'll be far, far away.
I'll do my own hair, Francine. You just see that the front door is locked when you go out. This hair of mine's a mess.
I wouldn't say that, lady. I'd say it was real pretty.
Who are you? What are you doing here in my room?
I guess I forgot to have Jeeves, your butler, announce me. Careless of me, ain't it? Yeah, you're a kind of pretty doll. You know that, lady?
I know if you don't get out of here,
No telephone, lady. I hate telephones.
Stop that! You're not...
That's better. Now, just so we don't get interrupted till we finish our business, I better yank this thing out of the wall. That's better.
How did you get in here?
Through the door? How else? Now, look, Miss Moore, we wasted enough time. You've got a load of dough, I got none. That ain't fair. You're pretty, I'm on the ugly side. That ain't fair neither. But you're going to be ugly, too, unless you kick in with $25,000.
You're out of your mind.
Now, lady, I ain't fooling. 25 G's or I fix your kisses so nobody will ever look at it again. And that nobody includes that guy you're going to marry. If you open your mouth to yell, it'll be the last time you open it ever.
Now, wait a minute. I've been district attorney in this city a long time. Oh, excuse me. Markham speaking.
This is Vance, Markham. You're working on the murder of Wilma Moore, the girl found choked to death in her apartment this evening, aren't you?
Why, yes.
Do as I say, Markham, and you'll have your murderer. I can't talk to you at the moment, but pull all your men off the case until tomorrow noon, at which time I'll bring the murderer into your office. I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Vance, did you hear the telephone conversation I just had?
No, eavesdropping is one evil that isn't in my makeup. Why?
Why? Because somebody on the telephone just now said he was you. And what's more, he sounded just like you.
Well, that explains it.
That explains what?
The message my secretary gave me said that your girl had called and left word that under no circumstances was I to try to reach you tonight. That, incidentally, is the reason I came right down here.
All I know is that if there's somebody in this town who can imitate your voice that well, Vance, it could lead to a lot of embarrassing situations for me.
For me, too, my friend.
However, he did us a favor at that. He practically told me he killed Wilma Moore. Else why would he try to get us to lay off? Unfortunately, he didn't tell me who he is, though.
We've found unidentified murderers before, Markham. Let's go up to Miss Moore's apartment and see what we can find out there.
All I can tell you, Mr. Markham, is she called down to me and said she'd do her own hair. I heard her bedroom door close, and then I went out. When I came back, I found the body and phoned the police.
Yeah. Nothing's been touched in the bedroom, Vance. Shall we go in?
I think so.
Francine, you're not to leave here until we say so, understand?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Come in, Vance.
Right.
Yeah, there's the body, face down on the floor. The hands lifeless at her sides. When Sergeant Heath asked me to notice the ring on her right hand.
I'm looking at that right now. Very pretty ring, don't you think?
It's a beautiful pearl. In an unusual setting, too. Don't I remember reading something somewhere about pearls bringing bad luck?
If you remember where you read it, send the author a note telling him he's guilty of understatement.
Yes.
Let me see now. This ring's only halfway on Miss Moore's finger. Wonder why. Doesn't go all the way on either.
What are you doing, Vance?
I'm trying the ring on each of the fingers. No, it's too small for any finger.
Maybe it wasn't her ring.
Perhaps that's correct.
Vance, I've been doing some thinking. We have every reason to believe that the man who called me on the telephone and pretended to be you was the killer.
In view of the fact that he tried to keep you off the case until tomorrow, I think that's a reasonable assumption.
But don't forget he knew of the crime, and it hasn't been in the newspapers as yet. Now, I seem to remember the criminal record of a man who once was an impersonator in vaudeville. I know he's in this city now. I wonder if I ought to pick him up.
What was his name? Do you remember that, too, Markham?
Danny something or other. He shouldn't be too hard to find in our files. If I find him, that's all I need to close this case. Motive was robbery. He was interrupted. He tried to keep us away until he could get out of town.
Very reasonable, my friend.
Vance, I'm happy for your help at any time, of course, but I think this is one instance where I've been able to put the facts together myself.
You don't seem in a hurry to pack, Danny.
I'm packing, Georgie, only I'm not hurrying. Why hurry?
You kidding?
Nobody knows there's any connection between me and that Wilma Moore dame I killed. And even if the police did know, didn't Philo Vance ask the district attorney personally not to work on a case till tomorrow?
Oh, that's great. That's fine. But suppose Markham didn't fall for it. Suppose he gets hold of the Moore girl's maid, Francine, and sticks a little heat on her. Suppose she talks about us and tells him she let you in the apartment.
She won't talk. She's in love with you, ain't she? She won't talk.
Yeah, you never can tell about dames.
Georgie, you're a regular philosopher.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty near finished packing. I never liked this town anyhow, so I...
Oh, you and your ideas. Somebody cracking through that door. It's the cops. I'm getting out through the window.
Georgie, you rat, come back here, you... my gun's at the bottom of this valise. I gotta get it out.
Okay. Stand right where you are. We've got him, Vance.
Good. That's what you think. Guns don't scare me. I got one of my...
Well, at least I got some exercise out of this, Markham.
Yes. He's Danny Seaman, all right, Vance. This has worked out just the way I planned. His record was on file just as I remembered, and we tracked him here.
That we did. Wonder who it was that got away.
We'll pick him up, whoever he is, only that's not important. The important thing is that we heard enough outside the door to verify all my theories. I'm taking this Danny character down to headquarters.
And booking him for murder, I suppose.
I'd like to know why not.
There's only one reason why not, Markham. He didn't kill Wilma Moore.
Hold still, still, Georgie, darling.
Take it easy.
Oh, please hold still. How can I wash the cuts if you keep turning your head?
That water hurts, Francine.
Water hurts. Oh, no, the water doesn't hurt, Georgie. Now, come on. Just hold your head still while I wash your face.
You washed enough. Cut it out.
Sorry, Georgie. I didn't mean to bother you. But you did come to my apartment and ask me to fix up the cuts.
Oh, me and my ideas. I had to go jump through that window.
Well, it was a good idea you did. Otherwise, the police would have captured you as well as Danny. And I wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah, I know. Danny got what he rated. He figured he was smart enough to play Philo Vance, then he figured he could scare your boss, Miss Moore, into laying out $25,000 just to keep him from messing her up. Only he missed out in both cases. Now, look, Francine, you got to stay in town for a while.
I know the police told me.
I got to get out of town, but I need getaway money, see? I think I know where to get it to.
Oh?
What was the name of the guy your ex-boss was engaged to?
Richard Wilkes. He lives at the Danton Club.
Wilkes, huh?
Yeah.
Now, let me just check my facts again to make sure. You told me you had a date with Miss Moore at 7 o'clock.
Yes, of course.
Danny got there at 6 when you left. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. Then when I got back at 8 o'clock, I found the body and I called the police.
What I want to know is this.
Yeah?
Wilkes got to Miss Moore's place, or he was supposed to get there, an hour before you found the body. Why didn't he call the police?
Nice shot, Wilkes. Very nice.
Thanks, old man. No point in being billiard champion of this club unless you can make a shot like that once in a while, is there?
Oh, I imagine not. Am I telling a rank amateur you did it?
Well, not at all. I put a lot of chalk on my cue, hit the cue ball low and on the inside, and drew hard. That brought the cue ball back to one rail. It bounded off into the second rail, and then the English started to take it
I
into...
beg your pardon, Mr. Wilkes.
Oh, yes, Joseph. What is it?
A man to see you, sir. He says it's important.
Well, tell him I'm busy.
I told him that, sir, and he said to tell you it was about Miss Moore.
Oh. Well, excuse me, will you, Davis?
Certainly.
This way, Mr. Wilkes.
All right. We'll finish the game some other time, Davis.
Sure, Wilkes. Any time you say.
Right over there, Mr. Wilkes. That strange gentleman with the adhesive tape on his face.
All right, Joseph. I'll take it from here.
Very good, sir.
Ah. You wanted to see me?
I kind of think you want to see me.
You said this was about Miss Moore. What do you know about her?
I know that you were up at her place before the body was discovered, and you never told the cops.
Why,
Oh,
you...
don't worry. I ain't telling the cops either. That's the reason I'm here. Now, don't lose your temper, Mr. Wilkes. I had a friend named Danny used to lose his temper, and the cops got him for Miss Moore's murder.
Well, let's come to the point. What makes you think I was at Miss Moore's apartment?
Look, let's you and I not do any fencing. I ain't very good at it. I ain't too good at talking either. Unless it's talking to the cops. So, let's say you give me $10,000 so I can get out of town, huh?
Yeah, you're being preposterous. If I understand your insinuations correctly, you think I might have had something to do with Miss Moore's death. Well, let me remind you that the police have her murderer, Danny Seaman.
Maybe they only think they have a murderer. Maybe Danny didn't do it.
You've seen the afternoon papers. Did you know Seaman has confessed?
Nope. To tell you the truth, I didn't know that at all. Maybe he only thinks he killed the gal. But you still haven't answered my question, Mr. Wilkes. Why didn't you call the police when you got to your girlfriend's apartment?
This is District Attorney Markham. The murder case we're working on is solved. Solved to the satisfaction of everyone but Philo Vance. Vance's attitude disturbs me, inasmuch as it was I who found and traced the clues and uncovered our murderer. I have a confession. I have the motive. I have everything necessary to go to trial to get a conviction. But Vance seems to think that because a pearl ring didn't fit on the dead girl's hand, that he has a mystery. He's in my office right now, and I'm getting a little annoyed.
I'm sorry, Markham, but I just don't agree that the case is over. Allow me that privilege, will you please?
Certainly. But it wouldn't be that because you had nothing to do with finding Danny Seaman that you refuse to acknowledge he's the murderer.
Markham.
Now, look, Vance, it's true we've been through a lot together. It's also true that you've helped solve quite a few murder cases that came through my office. But you're not the only one that can figure out a murder and find a murderer.
Of course not.
I can do it, too, sometimes, and Sergeant Heath can do it, and any of our police force is quite capable of solving murder cases. Now, why won't you agree that in this particular case, we did it without your help?
Because you don't have the murderer.
Vance, this is getting a little annoying. We not only have the murderer, we have his confession, a voluntary confession. Made when we showed him we had his fingerprints in the apartment. What in the world's the matter with you, Vance?
Perhaps it's because I'm hard to convince.
I'm surprised at you, Vance, and not a little disappointed.
Well, I imagine that indicates this conversation is at an end.
It would certainly seem that way to me.
In that case, I'll leave. But I'll see you soon, Markham. Just as soon as I bring you your killer.
Your bid, Wilkes.
Yes, I know. Requires a little thought, Davis, old man. If you don't mind, could I have a review of the bidding?
My partner opened with a spade. Your partner bid 3 diamonds. I bid 3 spades. It's up to you.
Let's see. Well, in that case, I think I'll have but one...
Please excuse me, gentlemen. Mr. Wilkes?
Yes?
A gentleman to see you.
Same man that was here yesterday?
No, sir. This one is Philo Vance.
Excuse me, please.
Certainly.
I'll be back. Did he say what he wanted, Joseph?
No, sir. He just said that if you were in, he'd like to see you. I told him I'd see, and he said he'd wait. There he is.
Thank you. You'd better close the door to the card room.
Yes, sir, of course.
Well, Vance?
Hello, Mr. Wilkes. I just dropped by for a few questions about your fiancée's death.
What do you want to know?
I want to know when you saw her last.
The evening before she died. I had an appointment with her the night of her death, but when I got there to keep the apartment, the police were already there.
When was that?
Around 9:30?
And you hadn't seen her that evening prior to 9:30?
No.
When were you two to be married?
Next month. What's the meaning of all these questions?
There's only one more, Mr. Wilkes. She was wealthy and you were not. Is that correct?
What about it?
There's a great deal about it, I'm afraid. Only, Mr. Wilkes, it isn't I who should be the one that's afraid.
We're in, Francine, in like a burglar with a pass key. That Wilkes will get up to $10,000 I asked for, then I skip town and wait for you.
Oh, fine, Georgie. It sounds fine.
All you got to do is keep your mouth shut, like I told you before.
But I did, Georgie. Just before I came here to your apartment, Mr. Vance came to see me. He asked me a lot of questions, but I didn't tell him a thing.
Oh, where'd you leave, Vance?
Miss Moore's apartment. He was there when I left.
And you came straight here?
Yeah.
You fool, this stupid dame. Suppose he followed you.
Well, men have followed me before.
Not a man like Vance. He wouldn't want you, you dope. He'd want to know where you're going. He's liable to come here, find me.
Georgie, nobody followed me. We're alone.
Okay. Sometimes, Francie, you make me a little unhappy.
Most of the time, though, I make you very happy, don't I?
Yeah, sure. Come here. Close. Gonna miss me when I'm away, baby?
Well, you know I will, darling. Who's that? Georgie, the door's not locked.
Shut up and don't be quiet.
Did either of you say come in? I imagine you did, only I didn't hear it.
Your imagination's better than your hearing. Nobody said come in.
Oh. Should I go out and try it again? Very boring procedure. By the way, my name is Vance. I know the young lady, but you...
I'm a guy named Joe.
You've got a lot of relatives. How did you get those cuts on your face?
Cats. I got a lot of cats. I'm very fond of them. If they want to scratch me, I let them.
All right, let's stop this nonsense. You were with Danny Seaman when Markham and I crashed in to grab him yesterday. You jumped through the window. That's how you got those cuts. Now I find you with Miss Moore's maid. That adds up to me.
Adds up to what?
You'll figure it out. Miss Moore was killed. She kept a lot of cash lying around the apartment. Danny didn't get that cash, but somebody might have. Somebody like either of you.
You think we came in there after Danny killed the dame and grabbed the dough? Do we look crazy?
You might have come in after Danny choked her, but before she was killed. I'm calling the police. I want you two where I can lay my hands on you at the right time.
Fancy and me, we don't know the right time. Suppose you tell us.
When I name the real murderer of Miss Moore, of course. You wouldn't want to miss that, would you? In fact, I don't think I could point the killer out unless you two were there.
District Attorney Markham speaking. Oh, hello, Vance. I'm, sorry about the way I sounded off. I'm glad you feel that way about it. What? But I can't do that. Now, look, Vance, let's not start this all over again. I've got all I need to send Miss Moore's killer to the chair. But yes, of course I want to be sure, but I am. Pearl ring? What about the pearl ring and where you found it? Oh, well, I know what you want me to do, and I'll do it, too. If I decide to have anything to do with this foolishness.
How's the market, David?
Pretty good, Wilkes. Pretty good. Want to see the paper?
I think I'll just sit here and relax. But awful good of you to try and keep my mind busy since my fiancée was killed. Don't know what I'd do without you.
No trouble, my boy. Enjoyed our billiards and bridge very much. You saw the front page of this paper, didn't you?
Front page?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what.
That man they had locked up for killing your fiancée has escaped.
Well, let me see that.
Just a minute.
Danny Seaman. Free. Jumped off train while being taken to prison. Arrest followed wonderful work by district attorney. Seaman tried to impersonate Philo Vance's voice and was successful, except that...
Easy, boy.
I've got to find him. I've got to. He killed her. He's confessed that he's killed her. I'll get it. Hello?
Is this Mr. Wilkes?
Yes?
The operator said she thought you'd be in the reading room. Recognize my voice, Wilkes?
I think so. Philo Vance.
Keep thinking that. Only I'm not. You want another guess?
No. No, I don't think so.
I'm the guy who can imitate Vance's voice so good. I'm just talking like him, so you know I'm who I say I am. You know I busted away from the cops.
Yes. Yes, I know it.
Good. Meet me at the corner of 5th and the Boulevard.
Well, why should I?
Because I found out a couple of things since I hopped off that train, so meet me, but don't tip off the cops. If they grab me again, you won't like what I've got to tell them this time.
5th and Boulevard, he said. This is 5th.
Hello, Wilkes.
Vance.
That's right. You weren't expecting anyone else, were you?
I wasn't expecting anyone.
We won't argue the point. Come on, let's get down to District Attorney Markham's office.
Well, what for?
You're going to tell him you killed your fiancée.
You're crazy. Seaman, Danny Seaman, the one who escaped, he killed her. He said so.
He didn't escape. He's still in jail. That story in the newspapers was planted to see whether you would meet him in case he phoned you. You did. That corroborates the fact that you feared something he might have known.
That's all in your mind.
You don't know me very well, or you wouldn't say that, Wilkes. You came to call on your fiancée just after she was choked by Seaman. He thought he killed her, but he didn't.
So you think I got there then?
I know you did. You helped revive her. Then, when she was all right, she told you something you didn't want to hear. Something you couldn't afford to hear. So you quarreled. And you finished the job that Seaman started.
But how could you possibly know that? Well, I don't care how you could have known. You'll never tell anybody. You'll never be able to tell anybody. I've carried a gun just for this reason. I'm going to...
Oh, no, you're not. Oh. Come on, Wilkes, get up. You've carried me through enough trouble on this case. And I have no intention of carrying you to the district attorney's.
Better start from the beginning, Vance. How did you know Wilkes killed his fiancée?
Just one fact pointed to it, Markham, the pearl ring. It was an engagement ring. Pearl, as an engagement stone, isn't too rare. But there was the ring on Miss Moore's right hand.
Only it didn't fit. But then it couldn't. An engagement ring belongs on the left hand.
It didn't fit because Wilkes... Well, maybe I'd better go back a bit. Danny Seaman did choke Miss Moore, only she wasn't dead when he left.
What?
Wilkes came in, revived her, and then quarreled with her when she wanted to break their engagement.
How do you know that?
That ring, my friend. Miss Moore gave Wilkes back his ring. Wilkes must have had that ring when he choked her. Then he tried to slip it back on her hand, but in his haste grabbed the wrong hand and he couldn't get the ring on the finger.
He must have heard a noise then and fled. Is that it?
Undoubtedly. As I understand it from his confession, he had to marry Miss Moore because he had borrowed money on the strength of being able to pay it back after he was married.
That's right.
Only one more thing, Markham, and this case is cleared up. The reason the ring did not fit on the right hand was because, in most people, the fingers of the right hand are larger than the left.
Yes.
That ring belonged on the left hand, definitely. That's how I knew it was an engagement ring. Understand?
Of course. And I see why you wanted me to have the newspapers print the fact that Danny Seaman had escaped. You forced Wilkes to make his move, believing that Seaman might have seen him in Miss Moore's apartment.
Exactly.
Well, All I can say is I'm sorry I was so stubborn about Seaman being guilty in the beginning.
Forget it. Actually, he did try to kill the girl and thought he had succeeded. It doesn't matter about the beginning, Markham, because after all, we've reached the successful end of the revealing ring murder case.